and welcome to the Road to Genome podcast. I'm your host, Helen Bethel, Genetic Counsellor and Workforce Development and Education Lead for the North Eastern Yorkshire Genomic Medicine Service, or GMS. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Cawthron, who's going to tell us a little bit more about her role. Hi, Kay. So I wonder whether you could start telling me, what is your current job title?
I am the lead nurse for the North Eastern Yorkshire GMSA, and I've been in post now since July of last year, and I'm on a 12-month secondment from Sheffield Teaching Hospitals.
So you mentioned you're on secondment then. So what role were you doing before you came into this one?
For the 7 years prior to me starting this role, I was an antibiotic nurse lead at Sheffield Teaching Hospitals.
So along your journey then, can you remember when you first heard the word genetics or genomics within your training?
Within my training and the wards that I used to work on, genetics was mentioned, but not regularly. It was a term that would just probably pass you by. Mm-hmm. But no, I can't.
You can't pinpoint it. Yeah.
No.
I think I hear you with that, because I think often it's just assumed that, people have got that slight understanding, certainly of genetics, maybe less so of genomics. And so it's very different. I don't think I can quite pinpoint when I heard of it either. So when did you first think about your current role then? When did you see that and realise it was to do with genomics?
When I first saw the role, I read the job description and what it entailed, and I just thought it'd be a challenge. I became 50 last year, and I just thought it was time for a change. My previous role I'd done for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I wanted a new challenge, and from reading the job description and reading all about the GMSA, it was just something that I knew was for me.
Fantastic, yeah. So when genetics was mentioned on the wards, just more in passing, was it something you were interested in straight away when they mentioned it, or is it something that you've not really ever taken an interest in until recently?
It's not something I've ever thought of, really. I've always been interested in a lot of aspects of nursing and any new terms that I did come across. Mm-hmm. But after reading the job description for this lead nurse role, mm-hmm. I just thought it would be a really exciting opportunity for me to go into, and something that would challenge me.
Yeah. So what has the role involved then? So you mentioned you've been doing it for coming up 9 months or so now. So what work have you been doing since you started?
Yeah, I'm one of 3 lead nurses that mm-hmm. works within the North Eastern Yorkshire, and we also have a lead midwife and a nurse director that sits within the team. And my role is looking at equity of access projects across the region.
So can you tell me, what does a good day look like for you then when you come to work? What's a good day at work?
I mainly work from home. I do and can go into the office, but it's mainly home working. So I have a lot of Teams meetings throughout the day, mm-hmm. Networking with a lot of other clinicians within North Eastern Yorkshire. I have a weekly team meeting with my fellow colleagues, the other lead nurses, and the midwife within the team.
And a good day is when you get good contacts, I imagine.
Yeah, a good day is when I get replies to emails that I send out. Working from home is really different to working within the actual, how can I say it?
Building of the hospital, yeah. I guess. Yeah,
the building of the hospital, yeah.
And do you enjoy it then, working from home?
I really enjoy it, yeah. It's having worked for 31 years within a hospital, it's mm-hmm. a change. It's something that I really like. The only thing I don't like about it is you're waiting around for emails, mm-hmm. whereas when you are actually working within the trust, if you're not getting a reply to an email, you can get up and go and knock on the door. Yeah. Whereas working from home, you do have to wait for the replies to come back. But I'm enjoying it. It's more freedom. Can I say that?
Yeah.
It's more freedom.
Enjoying the flexibility of
it. Yeah, I enjoy the flexibility of it, and every day is different, mm-hmm. and it's a challenge. It's a new challenge.
Yeah. I love that you've taken yourself out of your comfort zone in your pharmacy role to really, like you say, challenge yourself and do something different. What was it that attracted you to the genomics role?
I think I've got to the stage in my life now. I was 50 last year, and as I've said before, I've worked within the NHS now for over 30 years, and I just wanted a new challenge. I wanted to do something different, and from the experience that I've gained from all the areas that I've worked in the past, I just thought it was something that I could bring to the table with this role. The job description looked really good. Yeah.
And it intrigued you, yeah.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. So thinking back to your kind of nursing roles and, before you came into this, were you using much genetics or genomics within your practice?
Not really. My previous role as an antibiotic nurse, we didn't really use genetics much. But from the project that I've just spoken about to do with the gentamicin, I can see a role for more genomics to be brought in, particularly within the antimicrobial stewardship arena. The other roles that I've had in the past didn't really hear much about genetics. I've worked in orthopaedics and ophthalmology where genetics wasn't discussed.
So how has nursing changed in the 30-odd years that you've been practicing?
It's changed a lot. When I first started as a qualified nurse back in 1997, it was I felt then more task orientated. When I first qualified, we didn't give IV antibiotics or anything like that, which nurses do now. There was still what we used to call a bowel book on the ward and a bath book on the ward. So it was very much task orientated. Mm-hmm. But since then it's not task orientated at all. I think nursing now's got more of a voice. We see more as a profession. And I think this came from the Project 2000.
So was there more time spent at the university than there was in clinical practice?
Yeah, there was. We did spend a lot of time within clinical practice, but not as much as what it was previously to the Project 2000. But I think because I'd been an auxiliary nurse for 4 years prior to that, I'd already got the basic knowledge that I needed to take forward and the skills. Mm-hmm. So once I started my training, this all just implemented that, and it gave me more evidence-based around what I'd been doing and why I'd been doing it.
Yeah. And of all the different types of nursing that you've done, what has been your most enjoyable or your favourite?
I can say I've enjoyed all the roles that I've done. They've all brought different things to the table. The role that I've just come from as an antibiotic nurse, I really, really enjoyed that. That gave me a different direction. But all the roles that I've had from qualifying, the different areas that I've worked in, I've really enjoyed working with them all. I've met some wonderful staff. I've met lots of people, learnt lots of things. It's a profession that I've loved being part of.
Yeah. And I guess one of the differences about your current role is that you haven't got that face-to-face patient contact. How's that been, stepping back from that?
I thought initially that would be a problem, but to my surprise, it's not. I've really enjoyed working from home.
Yeah.
I can go into work if I want to go into work. But I think it just came at the right time. I think because for the last 30 years, I've always worked within a team. This is just something different, and it's something that I'm really enjoying. Because when I want to be with people, I can be with people. When I want to be on my own, I can be on my own as well. So you get best of both worlds. A very flexible role. Yeah, you get your feet in both camps.
Yeah.
So it's been a really, really good. Yeah. They say a change is as good as a rest.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've really enjoyed it.
So which direction do you think you would like to take your career in next?
I think I would like to stay within the GMSA. I've only been here 9 months. I've learnt so much within that 9 months, and I know there's still so much to learn.
Yeah.
And I see it as a challenge. I see it as a new challenge. I think genomics is the way forward. It's something that really inspires me.
Yeah.
So I would like to stay within the GMSA.
You said that genomics inspires you and you feel like it's the future. Can you give me some examples of where you see genomics fitting in nursing in the future?
Well, I just think with genetic testing, treatments can be tailored around genetic testing can tell us a lot. So the treatment that the patient's going to get, the type of treatment, the care that the patient's going to receive, it tailors the care. It really personalises the care that the patient receives. And I think that is the way forward.
Yeah. And do you think nurses have a big role to play in that process?
Yes, definitely, because nurses are the constant in a patient's pathway. So I just feel it's really, really important that nurses do get involved with this. And even if it's, you know, they don't know a lot about genetics, just knowing the basics. So then they're able to educate the patient, or if they don't know anything about genetics or genomics, they're able to go and find out the information.
Yeah. And like we said, you know, like I mentioned before, that, you know, a constant theme that keeps coming up in these podcasts is about the idea of bringing science to the patients, to the people, and bringing it right into their healthcare. And like we've talked about in your pharmacy role, that was very much your role, was bringing that science to the people. And so as a profession, nurses work so closely with the patients that it almost seems that they should be part of that process of bringing those potentially quite difficult concepts to patients and helping them make the right choice for their healthcare journey. So, yeah, I think nurses most certainly have a place in it. So your passion for nursing really comes across, Kay. So when did that first start? When did you first realise that nursing was the job for you?
My earliest memories really is of wanting to be a nurse. It's something that I've always wanted to do from being a young girl. I've always enjoyed caring for people.
So roughly how old were you then? You said a young girl.
For my earliest memories, really, from about 8 years old.
Yeah.
And then I cared for my grandma when she was ill, cared for her at home, really enjoyed doing that. And the nurses that actually used to come in and take care of my grandma used to say to me that it was a career that they thought I'd be really good at as well. It's something I really found rewarding, being able to care for somebody. I've always looked after my patients as though they're my family as well. Yeah. So I care for patients how I would want my relatives to be cared for. I think it's a great honour to be able to care for individuals, particularly within their last moments, days of life. I think it's quite an honour to be there. I do feel that I am very good at that. I feel I am very much a people person, very empathetic, and I just really, really find it rewarding. Yeah. I don't think there's another job out there that is as rewarding as being a nurse.
Yeah. What an incredible outlook, and what how lucky your patients are to be cared for somebody who very much, has that mindset. That sounds incredible, and what a noble profession it is. So that's incredible that you can remember even from so early on wanting to be a nurse. So what was your pathway into nursing?
So when I left school, way back in 1989, I didn't get the grades that I anticipated that I was going to get. I had enrolled on the BTEC national course at college, but because I'd not got the grades that I thought I was going to get, I had to then go back to college and just retake my GCSEs. The first year that I took my GCSEs, I didn't get the required grades again. So I went back and did another 5. At this point in time, some of the tutors that was on my course actually did say to me that they thought I needed to look at another career pathway, as they thought I wasn't academically clever enough. That was their words for being a nurse. But I just knew I got this fire in my belly, and I just knew this was a career that I knew I wanted to do. So I didn't listen to them. I continued on the pathway that I wanted, and I did another 5 GCSEs at college and was able to get a 3. By that time I was 18, and a job advert came up for an auxiliary nurse working at Lodgemore Hospital part-time. I applied for this role and was successful in gaining it.
Fantastic.
So I was an auxiliary nurse at Lodgemore, and I also went to night school where I did another 2 GCSEs. And luckily, after 2 years of going to night school, I ended up with the 5 GCSEs that I required to get into nursing. I couldn't get my maths, but luckily at the time when I did my nurse training, you needed maths or English, and I got my English. So I just want to say to everyone out there that's struggling to get the required grades for nursing, continue. If you know that this is a profession that you want to do, please continue, because you will get there. I got there. If I'd have listened to the people that told me not to continue, I wouldn't be in this position today. So in 1994, I started my training. I went through my training really easily, passed all my assignments, and became a staff nurse in 1997.
Fantastic.
And then since then, I've also got a degree in nursing and done some master's courses as well.
That's incredible.
So if I can do it, I know other people can do it as well. Yeah.
That's incredible. And what comes across is so much your passion and your drive for it. So well done to overcome those hurdles, including, you know, those negative comments that were shared with you, you know, kind of well done in hanging on to that self-belief. And, you know, thank goodness you did, because you've obviously made an incredible nurse. So does nursing run in the family then? Do you have relatives who are nurses or?
No, it doesn't run in the family at all. My dad's a welder, was a welder, he's retired now. And my mum was a hairdresser.
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't run in the family, but I knew it was something that I always wanted to do. I like caring for people. I feel really comfortable caring for people. I feel very empathetic towards people.
Yeah.
It's just something that I've always enjoyed doing.
It sounds like your natural environment, Kay, as you're talking. Yeah. I can see as you're talking the kind of the passion in it. So,
I'm very much a people person. I like talking to people. Nursing, you meet many different individuals from many different backgrounds, from different societies, and I've learnt so much throughout the 30 years that I've been a nurse.
So when you qualified as a staff nurse then, in what area of medicine were you working in?
When I first qualified as a staff nurse in 1997, I actually worked on Firth 4, which was then vascular surgery at the Northern General, which I was there for about a year.
Yeah.
And then I moved back into neurorehabilitation, where I'd worked as a support worker.
Yeah. How was that then, going back as a staff nurse?
Lovely. I really enjoyed working within neurorehabilitation.
Yeah.
I think out of all the areas that I have worked in, I do prefer rehabilitation to any other, because you can see a patient getting better, you can see progress, and it's something that I've really enjoyed. All the areas that I've worked in, I've all brought something different to the table.
So what other areas were those?
I've also worked within acute medicine, ophthalmology. I was a pre-assessment nurse at the Royal Hallamshire Hospital for 4 years.
And have many of those roles ever involved genetics? Was genetics ever mentioned in any of those?
Never. I can never really remember genetics being mentioned in any of those roles that I've done previously now.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to see how fast genomics has been introduced across the NHS, because most of those areas now would have an element of genetic
It was there on the periphery, but it wasn't something that was discussed.
Yeah. So what role was it that you were doing just before you took on this secondment?
I was an antimicrobial nurse lead within Sheffield Teaching Hospitals. I did it for 7 years. It was something that I really enjoyed. It was something very different to what I'd been used to before. I was the first nurse to be employed by the pharmacy department at Sheffield Teaching Hospitals. I worked within a team of pharmacists, and we worked alongside the microbiologists, and the object of the role was to look at judicious use of antibiotics across the trust. So I used to regularly go out onto the wards, give advice as per antibiotic treatment, and liaise with the pharmacists and the microbiologists.
Fantastic. Because we've talked a lot over the interviews that we've done about that kind of communication of bringing the science right into kind of modern day healthcare. And it sounds exactly like you're the voice of that. So bringing it, like you say, from the pharmacy team who don't necessarily deal face to face with patients in a traditional role, whereas actually you bringing it to the patient and breaking that down with all those beautiful skills that you have as a nurse, kind of makes for an amazing project. It sounds like a fantastic role.
Yeah, it was something that I really, really enjoyed. I learnt a lot, and it's something that I will take forward and bring to this role as well. I think this role that I'm doing at the moment within the GMSA brings everything that I've done before all together. It ties it all up neatly. I think I'm at the stage of my career where this is something that I really wanted and really needed. And the time that I've spent the last 9 months, I've really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited about the future.
Thanks so much for joining me today, Kate. It's been absolutely fantastic to hear about your story and also, most importantly, your passion for nursing. Thanks for listening. If you're interested in the topics we have discussed today, then you can find some relevant links on our website, www.ney-genomics.org.uk/podcast. Never miss an episode by subscribing on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.